Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all enjoying your week. Looking forward to Saturday. I'm laughing because I don't think anyone knows what they're doing on Saturday yet. I don't think Newcastle United know what they're doing on Saturday yet. What we do know is that Newcastle have agreed to not only do the party on the town moor, but they are also going to be doing the bus tour, the open top bus through the city centre as well. I mean, it's great. Everyone's looking forward to it, but everyone I speak to has got a different plan. And I suppose that's part of the fun. I think for me at this point, I'm just going to go to the pub and see how it goes. They're going to be around from basically 4 p.m. start at St James's Park all the way through to an 8 p.m. end on the moor. And I mean, the two places are a walking distance between, so you've got about 4 hours. I'm sure you'll see them somewhere. Who knows? Maybe you'll see some of them on the big market after as well. Probably not, because as Eddie Howe says, there's no time to wait around. We've got a big game on Wednesday coming up. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think my plan is probably to go and try and catch the bus somewhere and then head over to the moor. Because people are saying you've got to do one or the other. I think if you want to be front and centre of the town moor, you'll struggle to see the bus and then get over there. Because the town moor is open from 1:30. Now, what you'll be doing from 1:30 till 5, 6 p.m. when the players get there, I don't know. Maybe it's, setting up camp and getting a front row seat, because I think people will do that as well. I think I'm going to risk it probably and hit the pubs, try and catch them on the bus, and then see what mania lies in store trying to get onto the moor. But regardless, it'll be all good fun. But as I say, Newcastle aren't waiting around. Eddie Howe's already spoken about the fact that, he enjoyed it for a couple of days, but already it's back to business. He's got a taste for it now. He's got a taste for trophies, and we'll want to try and have a good finish this season, and then on into next season where we'll be back into all the cups and hopefully, definitely some sort of European football. We've got the conference, but there's no doubt it's a big summer for us. And I think it's partly the fact that there's no football going on at the moment. Like, what do you talk about when the football's not on? I know, transfers, but there's been quite a bit coming out in terms of Newcastle's centre-back shortlist this summer, with some interesting options for us. Now, one of them that's been highly touted at the moment to Newcastle, Liverpool, and a few other places is Huijsen, the Bournemouth centre-back. Now, this guy's just 19 years old. We've already spoken about him on this channel already. And look, Newcastle have had a great season. Not over yet. Won a cup, and it was fantastic to see the likes of Kieran Trippier, who really has been very uninvolved this season on the pitch. Probably very involved off the pitch in terms of leadership and everything else. I think possibly one of the best games I've ever seen Kieran Trippier play for Newcastle in the cup final. They were piling the ball into Trippier. I don't know if they were thinking maybe he's the slower of the two fullbacks or what. The amount of times just nodded it back to Nick Pope. So much of Nick Pope and Kieran Trippier, we've seen him muck it up in the quarter-final of the FA Cup where Chelsea scored. We've seen Nick Pope kick the ball out into nowhere numerous times. The pair of them, I don't know if they changed their breakfast or maybe they had something else before the start of that game, but the concentration levels were so good. And look, I think there's going to be a shake-up this summer. I think we've been saying that every season and we're yet to see this shake-up, but it would not surprise me when you talk about, Kieran Trippier getting a little bit older. I mean, Nick Pope was great. I really hope that those players can just continue this season the way they played in that game. We hadn't really... I mean, Nick Pope got dropped for Dubravka. People wanted Dubravka to play that final, and I thought Nick Pope was perfect for that game. He was so good. But there's no denying that, Crafty's getting on. Trippier really has been injured. Nick Pope's been injured. Really, it all kind of fell into place. If we can keep it going, it'll be great. But I just think going into the summer, you look at the likes of Lewis Hall, who's injured, but, young lad coming through on the left side. Tino, young lad coming through on the right side. Sven Botman, hopefully going to be more available. Dan Burn, just give him a 10-year deal now. We'll just keep him around forever for what he did in that game. But Burn getting older, Shaw getting older. Kelly's gone, pretty much. 20 million for him. Thank you very much. That sounded harsh, but, for that kind of money, I think it was the right move to make. Who have I not said? Shaw hadn't been in great form either. It's clear for me, the midfield's rocking. Isak up top, Gordon one side, Murphy, Barnes playing their part as well. I think the defensive unit is something that Newcastle will look to shake up this summer window, and Newcastle are really being kind of linked to some of those players. So as I say, the young Bournemouth lad, just 19 years old, funnily enough, came from Juve that we then sold Lloyd Kelly to. So do we need to just complete the full triangle now, and we'll get him from Bournemouth for 30 million? I think it'll be tough. That's the reported fee. Bournemouth only paid 19 for him, and he's been a huge part of how great Bournemouth have been this season. So for me to sit here and go, oh yeah, we'll have him, no way. Bournemouth will have teams out there for him. Liverpool have been linked, but Newcastle are a team that have been linked with him for, well, most of the season, really. And I think it's because we're looking for a centre-back. So you let me know your thoughts on Huijsen down below. I think he's the number one up-and-coming centre-back in the Premier League right now for good reason. But we're also being linked to a Liverpool centre-back as well. Quansah. And now, look, I've seen people out there on, because there's quite a few journalists who are pushing this now, the idea of Quansah from Liverpool for around 30 million. He was someone that was linked to Newcastle in the summer window. I've seen people saying, he's not for us. No, he's good. I think he's a good player. I think if you look at what Eddie Howe does with players as well, a young upcoming centre-back like him, I think would be a good move for us, to be honest. Whether Liverpool want to sell him to us is a different question. Same with Bournemouth. I mean, they've, for Huijsen, they paid, as I say, 15, 20 million. Why they would just let us have him for 25, 30, I'm not sure. When themselves could be playing European football next season, they should push and keep him. Hopefully not for our sake, but I would not be surprised if that's a player that they really look to hold on to. Quansah's a little bit of a different story, and I don't want to go down this route, but I tell you what, we're going to have to start, either ignoring it or, putting on some body armour for it, because the Isak talk is not going to stop. It will get worse in the summer. The talk of Isak Liverpool. I think because a lot of the reports, in fairness, are totally separate. There was rumours in the summer that Newcastle were linked to Quansah, and it was a player that we wanted. I think that's why the carryover has kind of come into this window, and that Newcastle want to go back in for him in the summer. That's the report. That is the report that's out there. But what's happening is that I guess Liverpool fans and the media are also, I say media, more like rumoured. Oh, well, if Newcastle want Quansah, then it means that they're going to have to let Liverpool have Isak. And it's like, well, no, actually, it's totally separate. Liverpool could turn around and go, you know what, you're not having Quansah, which, again, is totally fine. We'll look somewhere else. But no way am I going to include Isak in that deal. But that's why I say, lads, lasses, get your protective gear on, because I tell you what, it's only going to continue. We had Arsenal fans full of it previously, and now it's the Liverpool fans. And when we're getting a link to one of their players, it's a very easy 2 and 2 and get 5 and go, well, if you're going to have him, then what if we'll give you this and then we'll have Isak? Yeah, if I'm honest, like, we've had these conversations before. We've had conversations on players leaving Newcastle United, and one of them was Bruno for some time. People have talked about, Bruno didn't leave in the summer. Was that planned? Well, no. Bruno signed the £100 million release clause, and I think, so this is just me chatting now, I think that the club put that in there with the thought process that Bruno would go. Now, I don't think that no one came in for him. I think there was probably stuff on the table, and I think that Bruno said, no, I want to stay. There's people say that, no, we've got his 100 million release clause, but nobody wanted him. I think teams would have been interested in Bruno. No way would people have not been interested, but I think Bruno wanted to win the cup, and he went and did it. So look, there was chat about Bruno, there was a chat about Gordon, there was chat about Isak at the time as well. What was your Isak fee? Was it 150, 180 million? After that cup final, keep them all. Don't sell anyone. We'll never buy anyone again. Well, that was it. We'll have to sell to buy. We shouldn't have to now. We've held on long enough. We've waited 3 big windows without buying a first-team player. We've held on long enough now that we shouldn't have to sell to buy. We should have money in the coffer that doesn't force us to go, if we want Quansah, we have to give you Isak. That is like totally 2 separate things, and that's what the reports are, is that Newcastle were interested in him in Quansah separately. But you can let me know down below. The other centre-back that's coming up is WHEY, obviously, because that's the man that we were so heavily linked with and didn't put it through. And people say, where's the WHEY money? Well, again, I think we've probably dodged a bullet with that one, because the talk is that had we bought WHEY for 70 million, then we would have opened up. Was that... God, it's hard to bloody remember. We would have opened up the following window. Was it January? No, it can't have been. God, time's just muddled now, isn't it? Too much going on. Then we would have opened up the next window having to sell 70 million's worth of players because we bought WHEY in. So if I'm honest, I think we've actually dodged a bullet. I think the likes of Shaw and Byrne have done more than enough up till this point in the season to prove that we didn't need to spend that 70 million. Now, coming into the summer, WHEY's going to have a year left on his contract. You know, is that a player that we should still potentially look at? If I'm honest, I think he's a great player, but he's been in poor form, and nowhere near. I wouldn't pay half the money that was being quoted originally. So it looks like that's what the reports are coming out. Newcastle are setting up a short list of centre backs. I think it makes sense. People talked about Fabian Shaw only having a year left on his deal. Should we give him another year? He hadn't been playing great, and I'll be honest. I think he does it, even when he wasn't playing great, I still think he deserved an extra year. Not because of loyalty to the club or anything like that, which he has, by the way, and he was, as happy as anybody was when he won the cup and, proved what he could do. What do we buy him for? 3-4 million? I mean, God almighty, that must be like up there with one of the best money to player value signings we've ever had. But you can't just turn it over and look at Lewis Hall. He sat on the bench for ages before he finally came good. Tino had that kind of slowly Trippier out, him in kind of vibe, and I don't see us starting the season with Quansah and Huijsen or whoever. Boom, there it is. It'll be probably hopefully Botman and Byrne or Botman and Shaw, depending on where he is. I think Crafty signed the new year. Does that put him till January? Or is it the end of this season? You've got Lascelles, contract's going to come to an end, so I think he'll probably be the one to go. So we need at least one centre-back, and I think kind of moving in, the end of next season, if we could have the likes of a Sven Botman and a Huijsen with Byrne and Shaw, more than capable players there, is spot on. But it feels so disrespectful, really, when Dan Burns just won a cup and got an England call-up, and I'm already trying to move him out. That's not the case at all. It's just strengthening that area. We've done well that we've got to where we are this season with really very few options at the back, especially with letting Kelly go. So Kelly and Lascelles move on. It only makes sense that we look to bring young players in. Look at Hall 19, Tino 21, 22. The centre-backs are all over 30. And that, it's not a bad age, but especially in football nowadays, they'll keep going. Dan Burn call up at 32, but it only makes sense that Quansah 22, Huijsen 19, Newcastle are making some options there. So let me know your thoughts on the centre-back situation down in the comments below. As I say, it makes full sense that Newcastle are on the ball and looking into it for what we can do. And I hope, we're going to ride this high this season, and hopefully the high continues into the summer, because what we've seen recently is that we just haven't pushed. You talk about Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe's brought the first domestic cup in 70 years. At this point, surely the PIF go, he's our man, give the man the money he deserves to spend. He just has to. Appreciate PSR, FFP, all this abbreviations. But we've got to the point now, well, as I say, the 3-year, 150 loss over 3 years, the first year's fallen off now. The Bruno, and all them, they're falling off. Kelly's 20 million's in the bank now. We've got to just let them go for it, absolutely. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts on the centre-back shortlist as reported by a fair few outlets just today. As I say, I think there's not a lot of football going on at the moment, so we're talking about the summer window already. And I think that will probably continue from now all the way into the summer as well. But as Eddie Howe says, the season's not over. We've got confidence. I mean, honestly, we've won a cup and we've got guaranteed Conference League football. It's not the European competition we want to finish the season in, but I tell you what, it ain't a bad one. It's confirmed that we've got European football. People are talking about, if Newcastle don't get Champions League, that players are going to go. I think Bruno had his chance to go already, and he said no. because he wanted to win a cup with Newcastle. Isak, the man's got 4 years left on his deal. So it's going to have to be a hell of a fee in my eyes for us to even look at it. To be honest, why? He's the main man for us, and I don't know. Maybe I've got my black and white glasses on here, very, very possibly, but we will wait and see. Thanks for watching. As always, guys, thoughts and comments on the centre-back shortlist down below. And if you've got your plans for Saturday, I'll be interested to hear them, so let me know that as well. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your night, your Friday, and if you're on the moor on Saturday, be sure to say hello. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.